Hi there. Welcome to the Magical Cottage. Well, there's a full moon coming up, and I don't know about you, but I need to set some water out under that full moon and Enchanted to make some wonderful magical full moon water. All you need is a clear glass container, and I have a bottle that I normally use to make my full moon water, but I started thinking I kind of like to enchant that bottle a little bit more and decorate it and make it something that I like to keep out and enjoy. And who knows, maybe it'll add to the enchantment of that full moon water. So I got busy in my workroom, and let me show you how my bottle turned out. I glued some beads to it and some twinkly stars, and I made a little pentagram necklace for it, and I decorated the cap, and I just love it. Are you inspired to decorate your water bottle for your magical full moon water enchantment? Well, if you are, then come on over to my Witchy craft table and I'll show you how to do it. Okay, so here we are at the Witchy craft table, and I have all my supplies for decorating my moon water bottle. This is the bottle I usually use to charge up my moon water. It's just an old sangria bottle, and it's been cleaned, and I've used it to charge moon water before. And so I want to kind of jazz it up and enchant it a little bit more by decorating it. So I'm going to start out with these supplies. I got my glue stick here, or my glue gun, and even though I'm a little bit challenged in using a glue gun, I know that sometimes it's one of the best tools that you can use, and I also researched it and found out that it will adhere to glass. So I'm going to use that. I need some double stick tape. I have a stencil, and you can make your own stencils by getting an image, tracing one from a book, using some fairly sturdy paper, like maybe some cardstock, and just cutting out your own stencil. Or you can freehand a design if you're really good at that sort of thing. I have some beads that I'm going to use for decorating my design, and a marker to help transfer my design. And for later on, I have some all-purpose glue, some will hold, and food coloring, and we're going to use that to mix up a type of a paint. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use the double-sided tape to stick my stencil to the bottle. Now I want to try and get it centered. I'm using a triple moon design because it seems very lunar to me, and it's one of my favorite designs. So I thought it was appropriate for a moon water bottle. And I'm going to just try to get it even here. And what will be really important is that I stick all these little corners here that could kind of pop up here. So I want to get that nice and close, so I'll be able to more accurately trace the design of the stencil onto the bottle with my marker. So I'm going to go ahead and tape it down and trace the design, and I will be right back. Okay, so I've traced my design. I used a purple marker, and I didn't want it to be too dark because after I'm all done with the project, this is still going to be clear. It's going to be see-through, and if I'd used a black heavy marker, then that would have shown through, and I really wanted it to sort of blend in with the design. And I used a permanent marker because I I might have rubbed off the design while I was working on it, so I want to make sure that it's going to really stick on there. But I didn't want to mark it too heavy and dark in case it might show through after the project was all finished. So let's see how that looks. I missed a spot there. Looks like I wrote on top of the stencil instead of on the glass. So let's go over that and fill it in. Fix it. Want it on the glass. Okay. Let's see how the rest turned out. Oh, the rest looks pretty good. Wanted to talk to you a little bit about the beads I chose to use on my design, and these are called seed beads, and you can get them in packages where the jewelry supplies are sold in the craft stores. They come in different sizes. This is probably the biggest size that I would use for the design on the front of the bottle. You don't have to use beads. These are some crushed shells that I considered using, and I will definitely be using them for some different projects. You could use actual gemstones if you can find enough of them. When you're trying to decide if you have enough of the stones or the shells or whatever it is that you're going to use, one way to find out is just to take them and set them inside of your stencil pattern. Just line them up and see if you have enough to go all the way around. Okay, I also got some larger ones of the same color, and I'm going to show you what I did with those in just a minute. But really, anything you feel that you want to use to outline the pattern on your moon water bottle, you know, feel free to experiment. That's the way that the most wonderful artistic discoveries are created. So feel free to use other things besides what I did. I like these colors because they seem like the moon to me. They seem like water. Very mystical with that purple in there. The blue, of course, is associated with healing, and the moon water, of course, we can use for a lot of those types of spells, for anointing things. So I'm going to show you what my bottle looked like after I got the beads put on. I went ahead and worked on this, and I'm going to fill you in on what else I did. But I used the glue gun. At first I thought maybe I'd be able to just put the hot glue on this whole area and lay my beads down, but the glue dried too quickly. So I just ended up gluing do a dot of glue, put a bead, another dot of glue, and place another bead there until I went around, and it really didn't take that long. I also got these little Rhinestone Stars that I thought were kind of cool, and I glued those on with the hot glue. Okay, just place them sort of randomly. And one thing about the hot glue that I realized is that you get all these little like little spider webs, hot glue spider webs, and you have to go back and kind of clean those off. But they do come off of the glass fairly easily, especially if you get them before they cool. And I still have maybe some spots where I would touch up and clean some things off, and you could use either some tweezers, which I had here a minute ago, and you know, get in there and pull things out, or you could use a small X-Acto knife and go around and clean it up. Now, inside of my design, I painted it with a mixture of well-hold glue and some food coloring. And I did have to put several drops of food coloring in there, and you could see after it dried how light it came out. So this looked pretty dark, right? It's like a dark glue, and you could do a dark blue, I'm sorry, and you could do a couple of coats, but it's supposed to kind of give it a kind of a frosted look. And so one thing too that I remembered that one of my decorative painting teachers taught me was if you want to speed up the drying time on any kind of a painted project, especially with something like this or acrylics, you can use the hairdryer. And so I did, and it came out looking kind of sort of pearlized, and I kind of like that effect. Now on the top, I had the name of the sangria in there, all written on there, and I wanted to cover that up, and also to kind of balance it a little bit. So you see I got the blue and purple here, so I wanted to put a touch of it up here. And I got some of the larger beads that were the same color as the smaller beads that I used on this design, and I just hot glued them up there. And you can see I made a little pattern. I put one round one in the center and some oblong ones on the outside to make kind of a flower pattern. Also, there was a red rubber stopper thing, which I do want to keep because it'll keep the water fresher. But I kind of like to cover that up with something, so I think that a little ribbon is enough. Now, one last thing that I did was I made like a little necklace. And the craft store had this cool jewelry wire. It came in all these different colors. And so I took some purple. I could have used blue. And I decided to take some of the larger beads, and I put 3 in one of these nice pinnacles that I got from eBay, and 3 more because 3 is a very magical number. And I made a necklace to go around the top and down to hang right about there. Now you want to experiment with your bottle because your bottle will certainly be a different shape than mine, probably a different size. So hold things up there, see what looks right. If you don't like the way something looks, then you could certainly do it over again. Now the glue will scrape off, okay? Get a little razor blade, X-Acto knife, and it'll scrape off. So you can start over with anything that you've hot glued. And this paint that I put in there will also scrape off too, and it's kind of rubbery and you can just peel it off. So I don't know if you left it a few days if it would work that easily, but there you go. I don't know that I would get that wet. I would be careful leaving it outside, especially if it was raining. And so I'll go back and I'll be cleaning this up. But so basically, here is my moon water bottle that I have decorated for charging my moon water. You can see the design on the other side. I kind of like the way you can sort of turn it around, and here I see one moon, and there's the full moon, and here's the other side, and I got my little sparkly stars glittering away there, and it's just going to make the whole full moon ritual that much more enchanting. I also made a little label. You might want to write the date on there, but it says full moon water. Just, you know, sometimes you figure, oh, I'll remember what that is, and then you find it a few months later and you're like, what was that? So anyway, you can put this around there too. Tie it on there. Just give it a little label. Put that near the back. Make it a little shorter, however you want to do it. But then you've got a label on there, and you can write the date on the back too, so you know how many years old it is when you find it in your cabinet. But no, I'm going to put this out and I'm going to enjoy it. And I'll remember to use my full moon water in so many different ways. I can use it in anything that calls for water, any kind of a spell. I could even use a little bit to water a plant if I wanted to. I could put it in my tea to give me some of that healing that comes from the moon. Any way you want to use, you can put a few drops in your bath water. Any kind of brew that you're making. So I hope you enjoy decorating your moon water bottle, and please be sure to give me a like below this video. And if you enjoy doing witchy crafts, then please go ahead and subscribe to my channel, because there are going to be a lot more projects coming up. Bye. Bright blessings, and enjoy that wonderful full moon energy that's coming up.